Alright, what's going on everybody on YouTube? Griffin here coming back to you guys with another live stream from the Millennial Motivation Entrepreneur YouTube channel. Another Sunday. It is already June 7th already of 2020. We do these Sunday stock talk things every Sunday, usually roughly about an hour before market open. It just depends on how my Sunday goes for the most part, but we'd love to have you here for those future streams. We also usually go live another once or twice during the week, and we usually have a video or two upload per week as well. So we usually have a couple videos, couple live streams going out for you guys every week. So we'd love to have you here for those in the future. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below. Hit the bell icon right beside it. That way you'll be notified every time we go live or upload another video. And if you want to connect with me or connect with a whole bunch of traders overall, we also have a totally free Discord group chat. Link for that is down in the description below. There's about 180 to 200 members in there now, so it's just awesome to see that community continue to grow, and we'd love to have you there as well. And it's by far the easiest way to contact me, get a hold of me. If you have any questions, you have any stocks or anything you want me or just a bunch of traders to take a look at, we're always willing to break down stocks for you in there. We won't tell you whether to buy or sell, but we will give you our own honest opinion of a stock, ETF, anything like that. And with that, we will just kind of go on into the stream. So we had a ridiculous day on Friday. So I don't even know where to begin with that. We have so many just different things going on. Obviously, we have the protest, we have coronavirus still, which has kind of taken a back seat now, at least in the terms of news. Obviously, we had a whole bunch of protests going on here in the U.S. this last week, and that's kind of been the more higher priority in terms of concern for at least the news media and all of that. Of course, obviously they always need their stories and whatnot, not taking anything away from that situation at all. It's just we know how the news tends to work, of course. But with all these things going on, a lot of people are just kind of sitting back scratching their heads. When we take a look back at the overall 1 year 1 day chart, we'll go ahead and take these alerts away because that was from when I was trading. But when we take a look overall, we're about 200 points from all-time highs on the S&P 500. The NASDAQ actually made new all-time highs on Friday. We pulled back a little bit from there as the overall markets did, but still made new all-time highs. Dow Jones, if I remember right, is also pretty close, lagging a little bit in terms of S&P and Dow, but only also about 2,000 points to 2,500 points from all-time highs as well. Now we are starting to approach, or not even approach, but we've pretty much gone full-fledged into overbought territory pretty much on all of the indices. NASDAQ just hit it. I believe S&P just barely hit it as well once it gets loaded up. Yeah, it's at 72 now on the RSI. So from a daily chart standpoint and from an overall short-term standpoint, I would not be surprised to see us pull back a little bit. We are now officially right along that upper Bollinger Band, so I would at least expect some sort of a pullback down to around 3,000, 3,100, somewhere in that range here in the next week, two at the most, at least from a technical standpoint. Obviously, the markets never go straight up. They never really go straight down. You have some sort of healthy pullbacks or bounces if you're in a bear market. Obviously, we were selling off back in February, March, into the beginning of April. We still had a little bit of bounces, but obviously we kept selling off. But same thing with going up. You're going to have pullbacks. Look at the run we're on over the last week or two, really since the beginning of May, in all honesty. We've just been on a tear. We had a couple of down days, but overall we've just been on a tear lately. And it even shows within the weekly chart. When you look at every chart, you can just see that we've been going absolutely insane. You can see here this weekly chart for our Bollinger Bands that can't even keep up. I didn't even notice that, actually. It's out of control right now. So needless to say, we do have a lot more room to run, and that's kind of what I'm going to get into is even with all of this civil unrest, coronavirus, all that stuff going on, why is the market going up still? Why are we just continuing to essentially rocket higher, and the stock market, Wall Street, essentially is just kind of not fazed by what's going on? With the coronavirus, with the protests, with the fact that unemployment is still somewhere around 12.5% to 15%, depending on which source you look at. I'm just calling it 13% because that's the number I seen on Friday. The main thing is that I just put this in perspective for everybody. So the market, we noticed from somewhere around that 2,700 levels, we were starting to come back up. We noticed around this 2,700 to 2,800 level that no matter what data was really coming out, as long as it wasn't just completely far off from the projected number, even if the numbers were worse, which in most cases they weren't worse than projected, even if they barely beat the projections in terms of like worse, the market didn't really care in most cases. There were cases where if we were already going down, we just keep going down on those days when certain data was coming out, the weekly jobless claims, all that stuff. But this number on Friday, I mean, it really just kind of put the stamp on the whole coronavirus issue, at least in the short term. I know there's a lot of people questioning, well, what's going to happen once the stimulus runs out, where it's keeping people technically employed through, I believe, the end of June is when I think that is up. So, I mean, that's a valid question. We'll just have to see how it plays out. I believe there will be a second round of stimulus, at least in form of to business and keeping people employed, probably through August is kind of my own projection, but we'll see what happens. Let me know in the chat or in the comments if you see this after it uploads what you think about the whole potential for another stimulus. Not for us Americans, or it is for us Americans, but not in terms of like the $1,200 checks or anything like that, but in terms of business to keep the economy, quote unquote, going still. I'm interested to hear what you guys have to say about that. But on Friday, we had a ridiculous number. I mean, everybody was projecting somewhere around 7 to even 10 million jobs lost in May. And we actually created, again, at least on paper, around 2.5 million jobs in April. So that's around a 9 to 12 million, again, depending on who you go with for reporting and whatnot. But between 9 to 10, somewhere around 10 million, essentially 9 to 12 million job difference in a good way. So, of course, the market took that as, holy crap, I mean, this is better than we even thought. And the market obviously shot up. We went up somewhere around like 3% on Friday. I was at work. I missed most of it, unfortunately. But I know a lot of you guys made a ton of money on Friday, and that is awesome. But that begs the question, everybody's wondering, have we gone up just way too fast? Now, again, we look at the 1 year, 1 day chart. I agree. Like, we're in overbought territory. We did break through a critical resistance level around 31.25. We pretty much just blew right through it on Friday, of course. I believe Thursday we were kind of playing around with that area, but then Friday we just completely blew right through it. So what do I expect? In all honesty, like, yes, we're overbought. Could we, by all means, continue to push up a little higher tomorrow? Sure, we might retest 3,200, something like that, because that seemed to have been the resistance level. Yeah, right around 3,200 was our resistance level on Friday. So I would not be surprised. We got a little bit more room where we could potentially try to hit it again. If we do that, I project that we probably fail. We form some sort of a double top, and then we probably go down from there. And I'm not going to predict like a huge drop or anything because I don't see that happening. I think at first we'll pull back to somewhere around that 31.25, between 31.10 to 31.25 level. So that's about 60 to 70 points from where we're at right now. And then if for some reason that breaks, we're probably talking about a max pain of somewhere around 29.50 to 3,000. Probably 3,000 is my own estimate. Obviously, if things with the news get worse, if coronavirus cases start shooting back up, if all sorts of things that we just can't ultimately predict at the end of the day happen, then by all means we could definitely retest that 29.50 level. I just think at the end of the day, the furthest that we might pull back this week is 3,000. That's just kind of what my gut's telling me. I think somewhere between 3,000 and 31.25. I know that's a very wide range, but you got to keep in mind that we literally jumped up like 100 points on Friday. So the fact that my range estimate in terms of a pullback has around 100 to 125 points, that's why. I mean, the market obviously has been so volatile over the last really going on 5 months now, 4 to 5 months, but we have simmered down quite a bit. But Friday was the first huge spike of volatility that we had, in a good way at least, because the market continued to go up. But that's why my range is a little bit wide to the downside. Now for the upside, honestly, overall, I'm predicting a down week. Again, I'm not predicting some huge drop or anything. I just think that we've gone ridiculously far, pretty ridiculously fast. I mean, obviously we did the same thing to the downside, but we're even on the weekly chart. I mean, we're kind of neutral on the RSI, MACD, all of that. All of our indicators are pretty neutral. There is a pretty bullish signal in the fact that our DMI just had a cross in terms of pretty much, if you don't understand like what DMI is, it just kind of gives you an overall feeling. It's almost kind of like a sentiment. I wouldn't call it like a sentiment oscillator or anything like that, but a lot of times whenever you get a cross within this, you start to see more either buying pressure, selling pressure. Obviously, you can see here when it crossed back in February, that was when we really started to see that heavy drop, and then obviously it spiked all the way up to 55, 56. And then we went neutral for a while because obviously the market was gaining its footing. And now, as you can see here, even though we're still neutral overall, within this longer term weekly DMI, we did just have a cross on the bullish bearish. So whenever I'm looking longer term, I'm still very bullish on the market. I think, in all honesty, by the election in November, we could be at 3,500. So if you're looking longer term, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily start selling today or anything, unless if you just want to cover your profits and maybe re-enter later this week, assuming that we go down. But that's if you're more longer term. Me personally, obviously and I know most of you were more shorter term. When I look at our shorter term indicators, I see that we are extremely overbought. And like I said, I think, in all honesty, I think we're going to pull back somewhere around that 31.10 to 31.25 if you want my honest opinion. But like I said, at the end of the day, I would not be surprised at all if we drop down to around 3,000 with an absolute worst case scenario of around 29.50. So, and again, that's news driven, is what's really going to determine it at the end of the day. When we look at our, how's it going there, Tommy? Whenever we look at our Bollinger Bands, we can see that on the low end, we're probably also looking at somewhere around 3,100. So yeah, I mean, I think the fact that I'm betting on closer to 31.10, 31.25, I think that is going to be a pretty healthy pullback for sure. You're talking roughly 80 points, 70 to 80 points from where we're at right now. So I think it's definitely a healthy pullback for sure. Now, when we take a look at just stocks overall, and of course, if you guys have any stocks or any ETFs, anything like that you want me to take a look at, just shout it out in the chat. That's what we do this for at the end of the day. I always tell the guys in Discord, have your stocks, have your questions, anything like that ready to go, because that's what we do this Sunday stock talk for. Otherwise, it's just me giving my own opinion on the market, and I definitely want to chat it up with you guys there in the chat. And Tommy said moon pump. Yeah, the market was pretty much going straight to the moon, quote unquote, on Friday. No, it did get smacked down pretty hard at 3,200. It did not like the 3,200 level too much at all. As a matter of fact, we hung around. The bulls were trying. The bulls were trying hard to keep it around 3,200 or above. But ultimately, they failed throughout the afternoon, and we did look pretty bearish. Going into the close. So honestly, come 5 o'clock here in the next half hour or so, I expect the market to probably open down. I did not hold any positions at all within my portfolio over the weekend. If I would have, I probably would have held a short like MES contract. Would never suggest holding ES contracts unless if you've got over $50,000 plus in your account. But normally I would never suggest holding an ES contract going into the weekend because obviously the markets can really swing either way Sunday nights. But in my own opinion, I think we will probably see a drop once the futures market opens up here in the next half hour. Now, as for stocks that we had talked about, again, like I said, if you guys have any stocks, any questions, throw it out there in the chat. But while I'm waiting, I want to talk about a couple stocks that we were mentioning around this time last week. I believe it was our Sunday Stock Talk. As well as a recent video that I uploaded. I mentioned American Airlines, and I believe I mentioned this actually in the video of how to find oversold stocks and whatnot. And I mentioned in that video that on Friday, I wish that I had noticed it. Not this Friday that we just had, but the Friday before. I mentioned that I wish that I had seen the drop that American Airlines had. Going into the close, it was around, man, I don't even know, like $11, $10, $11, something like that. Let's take a look here. That would have been, when was that Friday? Get the calendar pulled up here. So that would have been Friday the 29th. Okay. So Friday the 29th was back here. So yeah, it was around, yeah, that's what I thought. Around $10.55 was where I said I would have bought in. And I said, if you're swing trading this, you can probably hold it for a while. I said that me personally, I'm very conservative in my estimates. And based off of the recent trend, I said that I would look for somewhere around $1 per share of profit. I said to get in around 10.55 is what I would have gotten in hypothetically if I'd seen it on Friday. I wasn't paying attention to it on Friday the 29th. But if I did, I would have bought in around 10.55 to 10.60, and I would have been okay with selling it anything around 11.50 on up. Now, again, I never tell you guys like what to invest in or anything, but if anyone had actually watched that video and hopped into it and held it for longer than usually I would have, more of a swing trader, longer term, 1 week plus hold dates usually, you would have made a lot of money holding that, because this thing shot up clear over $22 on Friday. I do not think it is done. You may see it continue to pull back a little bit, say to around that $16 mark. Honestly, if you can get this under 17, I think it's a strong buy still. Again, I'm never telling you guys what to invest in, but if I included had just bought that and held it for a little over a week, we would have over doubled our money and then some. Depending on how long we ended up holding. I wouldn't have held it because I am a chicken shit, in all honesty, when it comes to holding stuff. Whenever I'm up on profits, you guys know I'm all about covering profits. I'll cover as little as 0.5% if needed. But yeah, I mean, I think in all honesty, this has much more room to run. We've known for the longest, I've been saying for the longest, that when all these stocks tanked, they were pricing in worst case scenario. Like, we're talking bankruptcies, mass unemployment like never seen before. They were just pricing in the worst of the worst case scenario. And now that everything's kind of pointing towards, hey, you know what, it may not be as bad as we're thinking, everything is just starting to just shoot straight up, especially these sectors that have been beat up so much. Another one, what's a cruise line? Is it Carnival? Was that CCL, I think? Yeah, Carnival. Another one. It shot clear up over $21 on Friday alone. Another sector that's just gotten beat up brutally. Now, do I think, which would I want to be in out of cruise lines versus maybe hotels or airlines? Like, of all those, which would I want to be in? I would want to be in airlines personally, because at the end of the day, cruise line industry, they're going to get hit the hardest, the longest. They were one of the first ones to really have to shut down altogether way back in, what was that, at the very beginning of March, I believe, maybe even end of February. They were one of the first ones to shut down. So their numbers by far are going to be the worst, and they're going to take the longest to recover, not only because of the coronavirus, but the fact that, I mean, we still do, even though unemployment dropped this last month, we still have unemployment that is through the roof, 10 to 15% unemployment. I mean, it's still pretty damn high. So people are not going to be taking cruises and stuff like that, which is also why I wouldn't even suggest really hotels. Of the three, I would suggest airlines, just because at the end of the day, people travel for business. People don't just travel for leisure in terms of flights and whatnot. So in my opinion, airlines would still be the main play. Again, I'm not telling you guys ever what to straight up invest in, but a stock like American Airlines or even Delta Airlines, I think these have a lot of room to run. I think of the two, American Airlines will outperform most of the other airlines, just because, one, it seems to be way more volatile. As you can see, it's up almost 12% versus Delta Airlines was only up about 5.5%. And plus, Delta Airlines has kind of held its own a little bit better than American Airlines. I mean, obviously, it's still dropped down to like $18 a share. But I mean, it found a support way, way, way quicker. You can see American Airlines just kind of had this slow, continual drop. Funny thing is, they did kind of bottom around the same day, but American Airlines, I mean, it just got absolutely slaughtered. It was pretty much in penny stock territory for a minute. Now, am I saying by any means that I think airlines are going to be the first ones to shoot back up to all-time highs, or that they're just going to keep running? No. In all honesty, I would not buy today. I mean, obviously you can't Sunday, but I wouldn't even buy these tomorrow. In all honesty, I want to see them cool off a little bit. Obviously, they've had a massive run. However, if you can get, like, say, American Airlines under $18, $17, I would really like to see them pull back, like from an American Airlines standpoint. I'd really like to see it pull back to 13. I don't think that's going to happen, though. If you can get it between $16 and $17, I think that's an amazing buying opportunity once again. You're talking $6, $7 potentially per share price difference. So, again, I'm not saying to throw your money in these or anything like that. It's just a very interesting call that would have played out perfectly if we had went ahead and bought in last Monday when we were looking at it, either Friday or on our Sunday Stock Talk. I forget which video, if it was our live stream or if it was the video that we uploaded. But either way, that was a very good call out that we had. We should have got in, but we were trading other things at the time. But yeah, of all those three beat up sectors, I mean, obviously you have hospitality, all those other things too. Of everything though, I think airlines are the best play just because, like I said, it's not just about leisure. You have business trips. Businesses are opening back up. Therefore, business people are going to be traveling more. So I think airlines are the main play. That's just my own opinion. Some people would probably say hospitality, things like Chipotle. I know Chipotle, the thing with Chipotle is it hasn't really cooled off a lot. I mean, it did cool off a lot with the broader markets whenever it dropped. If you could have got this thing around $400 to $500, salute to you. I mean, look at it though. It's at all-time highs, above its all-time highs by quite a bit. Honestly, I think this thing being priced at $1,000 is ridiculous in my own opinion. But when you just look at some of these hospitality, food, restaurant stocks, they're just not attractive. I mean, they've literally, in some cases, tripled. You had Chipotle literally almost, not quite, but close to triple since the bottom. It's just, which one is more attractive, at least for traders? Which one's more attractive, this chart or this chart? I mean, this chart, like I said, I would not be buying right now by any means. I would still wait for it to pull back, like I mentioned already. But overall, this one has much more room to fill. So, I mean, if you're, again, more of a longer-term investor, if you can get this thing back under $17, I think it's an awesome opportunity for a longer-term, potentially double on your money. I mean, even if you just sell, because there's going to be a lot of resistance around $25, $26. It may not even get back above that in the long term, because don't get me wrong, airlines, is still going to take a long while for airlines to fully recover. But I mean, even if you got in at say $17 and you sold it at $25, that's a $8 profit per share. How's it going there? Ellie? Is it Ellie or Eli? Eli? How's it going? What were we saying? Oh, $8 profit divided by your initial investment of $17 a share. And again, I'd like to get it under 17, but even if you got in at 17, that's a 47% return on your money. Now, again, that's for those of you that are more long-term swing traders, people that tend to hold things for weeks or even months if needed. For those of us day trading, same rule kind of applies. I mean, I would say to hold on, don't buy up here. It's widely expected that the markets are overall going to pull back a little bit this week, at least early on, probably by Wednesday at the latest, we're going to see a good pullback. So wait for everything to cool off a little bit. And again, if we can get this around 17, 16, somewhere around there, awesome buying opportunity, even for a day trade or short-term swing trade. You're probably looking at, assuming it pulls back to say 17, you're probably still looking at $20, which again, that's a $3 per share profit. You buy 100 shares at 17, was it like $1,700, something like that. Or did I do my math wrong? My brain's all over the place today. 1,700, isn't it? Yeah, $1,700. So I mean, you buy 100 shares, it goes up $3. You made $300 on 1,700. That is not a bad return whatsoever for a short-term swing trade. But yeah, how's it going? Do you have any stocks or anything you want me to take a look at today, or any questions or anything? And like I said, I haven't even checked the stream. We got 4 of you tuning in. If you like the stream, by the way, hit that thumbs up button. I greatly appreciate that. It helps the channel out a lot. And if you're new, we'd love to have you here. Hit that subscribe button below. Hit the bell icon. That way you'll be notified every time we go live, upload another video. We usually upload 1 or 2 videos a week. We usually go live every Sunday, usually around this time, about an hour or so before the futures market goes live. And then we usually go live once, sometimes even twice more throughout the week, just for overall market updates. So we'd love to have you here for those. HTZ, man, that's been on a crazy roller coaster. I've been meaning to do like an actual video about that stock. You cut your comment off. Let's see. I'm not buying it. Let me pull it up here actually, because it is very interesting. However, so we can see on the 1 hour chart also, like most everything, right? Still overbought at the moment. You can see here, this $3 level, massive resistance. I'm so glad you brought this up, because I would have forgot to even do a video about this, but it's a good time to just go ahead and talk about it. So, massive resistance right around $3, right? We can see over the last, what would you say, couple weeks, roughly, going back into early May, it was acting as a pretty solid support. They tried keeping it above $3 as much as they could, and then obviously it had that massive sell-off all the way down to 40 cents a share. Absolutely insane. I mean, this stock at one point, when I was very first starting to trade, this stock was like around $15, $20 a share. You can see I started trading back in 2018. Again, like I said, right around 18 to 20 bucks a share, and it is in a very strong descending pattern. That's another reason why, me personally, I do not like it, at least right now. If you're in it for the long haul, then by all means, if it has some sort of a good pullback, I mean, look at it, up 71. It's trading like a true penny stock, because that's what it is now. Unfortunately, it is a penny stock. It's going to get pumped and dumped, everything else. However, there is some hope. Like I said, if we go take a look here, again, strong descending pattern. If, keyword if here, if it can break back above that $3 to $3.30 range, if it can break out of that, the good news is you did have a high of $4. So that is some good news, but it's got a lot of resistances. That's the bad thing about investing in something that's been in a descending pattern for so long. It showed signs of promise over and over and got rejected over and over and over. So what I really want to see with this, in all honesty, I would like to see some true confirmation. I want to actually see it now that I'm looking at this 4 hour chart. I want to see it probably break out around $4, come back and retest that 350, 360 range as a new support, and then if it continue on higher past $4, you can get in and potentially ride it up to say 5 or 6, and then you're looking at what? Say you got in at 4, you got 6 out of it, you made like 50% on your money. So I'm just very technical, especially if I'm investing in something that is, I mean, it's a penny stock now. It is what it is. If I remember right, did they file bankruptcy or something? I forget what happened exactly. But it's just, overall, we actually bought a car from their dealership. They're generally a car renting company. For those of you that don't know a lot about Hertz, they're usually like a car rental company. We actually purchased a car from them. They do have very well priced cars, and they're probably going to have even better priced cars now. So if you're looking for a car, definitely hit up your Hertz dealer. No, I'm not paid to say that at all. But yeah, okay. Yeah, they're filing for Chapter 11. That's what I thought. So yeah, I mean, when we went there, though, I mean, it's very disorganized. Very, very disorganized. And it might have just been the location we went to. Who knows? I mean, we weren't in the ghetto or anything like that. But it was a very disorganized, at least from the car dealership side, very, very disorganized. Inventory just all over. They couldn't even find our car at first that we were looking at. I mean, it was just they're a very disorganized organization overall. I mean, I can't imagine what the rest looks like on up the chain of command if that is how the company is ran. So I have some experience with them, at least as a customer. However, from an investor side, like I said, I want to wait. Better safe than sorry. It's a penny stock at the end of the day. It could easily just be pumped for no reason, and they could just dump it on back down. I mean, it could go to zero. I mean, it could end up just getting delisted. In all honesty, it just depends. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I would just be a sound fundamental investor more than anything. I would not even want to day trade this. I mean, it's ridiculous just looking at it. I'm not a penny stock trader at the end of the day, personally. If you have been playing with penny stocks and have had some good success, then by all means, just look for a good entry point. Look for some pretty oversold indicators overall on your short-term charts, your 1 minute, 5 minute, 15. And then try to ride it up, but definitely have a stop loss set. Say you get in this around 250, I would set a stop loss probably at 225, because, I mean, what is that? That's still a 25 cent per share loss, and this is assuming you get in at 250. It's still going to be a pretty big loss. Yeah, 10% loss. So, man, that's the thing with penny stocks, though. I mean, lots of volatility, because literally every penny counts at the end of the day. Expanding purely through debt. Yeah, man, that's why me personally, expanding purely through debt. So they were literally just using debt to expand, not using their cash flow at all, it sounds like. How's it going, by the way? Valthor, how's it going? But, yeah, I can't believe that. I mean, I shouldn't surprise me, but a company that's being traded like that, I'm not surprised. Like I said, when I went to one of their locations, they just seemed like overall very disorganized. Nice people that were at the one that I was at, but just very disorganized. So I'm not surprised that they were just expanding through debt. Sounds like they obviously had some very bad cash flow issues. So, because at the end of the day, if you're using mostly debt to expand, it must mean your margins and cash flow must be horrible. So, yeah, as for being an investor, if that changes, then I might want to hop in longer term. But from a chart technical analysis standpoint, I don't want to touch it until it breaks above $4, looks bullish, pulls back maybe to that, 4 or 350 range, something like that. Get this pulled back up here. Yeah. Go up to about 4, drop back down to around 350 as a support maybe, and then continue higher. Just too many requirements for this thing. And he said that, no, mostly trade UGAS and DGAS. Yeah, I know a lot of people that make lots of money on the natural gas trades. So UGAS actually, so I'm glad I didn't take that position, because I was looking at UGAS. It was starting to look intriguing. It looked like it was trying to go bullish. Again, with these strong descending patterns, you got to be very careful, which obviously he knows. Go ahead and flip over to DGAS, and if you want to ride it up some, because it's in a ascending pattern instead. But that's kind of disappointing, because UGAS was looking like it was going to try to break out here. But as you can see, we got rejected right around $15, and it's all the way back down under 14. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be it's still hovering right around this consolidation area. It's been consolidating for a while, right around that $13 level. It's at $13.75 right now, but it did test that $13.35 level. So it's right around the same area it's been. It'll be interesting to see if it can, let's look at the 4-hour chart actually. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it can actually officially bottomed here and start to push up higher. But again, it's another one in a descending pattern. So on the flip side, which would be the safer play for now, DGAS. But of course, if UGAS has been trying to find some sort of a support, what does that mean for DGAS? It has been butting the hell up against some resistance right around this $315 level, 310, 315. Just I would be very cautious playing these right now, as I've been. I had a position, I believe it was in UGAS. I played it for just a quick, like, 1% profit, something like that. DGAS, I also played earlier last week for a quick, like, something ridiculous, like 0.25% profit. Just because I know it's kind of at a pretty critical level with natural gas. So we'll see what happens. I think this week, the next week or so, is going to be very critical to see if natural gas is going to keep falling or if natural gas will start to break up to the upside. So, and that kind of segues in good to if anyone is new and tuning in and wondering, like, what is DGAS, what is UGAS? So you have natural gas, and then you have the two leveraged ETFs, which are UGAS, and then you have DGAS as well, which they're just inverse ETFs at the end of the day. So whatever one is doing, the other one does, of course. And UGAS is the one that directly kind of correlates with natural gas. It's just going to move 3 times in the direction. Or do I have those flipped? Let's take a look. I believe it's UGAS that is directly correlated with natural gas. Yeah, okay. And then you have DGAS, which, like we said, is just the inverse, so it's going to move in the opposite direction. So just a quick little rundown for those of you that may not know a lot about inverse ETFs. But yeah, like I said, these, I know a lot of people that make a lot of money off of these, but at a time right now where they're both kind of hitting critical resistance and support levels, I would personally probably sit these out for just a couple days, if nothing else, just to kind of see if they're going to find some direction early on this week. And until they do, I just wouldn't really mess with them. If you're kind of more bullish on DGAS, which me personally, I am, just because natural gas continues to make new lows, and I expect natural gas over the long term to continue to dump. But if you're bullish on DGAS longer term, I would probably wait to see a breakout, make a new high, say like 330, 345, somewhere. I mean, it's so volatile that it can easily do that in a day or two or something like that. But wait for this to break out to at least like some newer high, pull back to around that 315, 320 range, bounce off of it, and then at that point, that is when I'd probably want to play DGAS, UGAS, which obviously for UGAS, it would just be the opposite. You'd want to see it break out, use that $15 level as a support, and then maybe hop in it. So it'll be very interesting to see kind of what happens though with the natural gas play. And then another one we were looking at last week, which we did play, I believe Monday or Tuesday, was Target. Target, we actually got in, made a decent little profit, nothing major. I think it was like 1.5% to 2%, but we played it early on in the week. We got out way too early. We played it on like the 2nd or 3rd. I believe we bought it late, right around 6 p.m. U.S. Central Time, after hours on the 2nd, rode it up into the 3rd. And then whenever it was struggling around 120, I went ahead and got out, of course, way too early, $2 a share. I had 50 shares, so I did miss out on $100 on that trade. But again, I was up decently on that trade. I don't remember the exact amount. I want to say around $1 a share, so around $50 or something like that overall. So again, you guys know me. I like to just cover profits more than anything. Don't ever want to miss out on those. So, but another one that it's looking pretty bullish. What I'm looking for Target now is that this $120 range, 120 to 125. I don't know if it's even reached 125 exactly. It did reach 128 briefly, but right around this 120 to $123 level has been kind of the upper level of the range lately. It's been trading pretty sideways between usually around like 117 to 122, 123, with that brief pop up to about 128, 129, and then obviously continue down. But we're at the upper end of this range, so I really want to see Target break out over like 125. I'd like to see it come back to that recent high of 128 and maybe even surpass it if it can hit like 128, 130. I'll be keeping my eye on it very closely, because if it can come back down to like 125 at that point, somewhere around there, with that 123, 125 range, bounce off of there, then that might be a potential good swing trade play. And then overall for the markets, again, for those of you that trade options, we trade SPY options very often. Something that I was very close to doing Friday was actually placing a vertical call spread when SPY was around 320, 320.50. Probably would have been up on that position going into the close, and probably would be up on it tomorrow if assuming that we have some sort of pullback tomorrow. That would probably be up somewhere around 20% maybe. But I would just kind of hang tight on SPY if you did not place a options order on that. Same thing for QQQ. That's another one we tend to play options on as well. But the fact that it did cool off quite a bit going into the close, we could by all means shoot up tomorrow. And if we do, I mean, who knows when it is going to cool off. But assuming that we go down tomorrow, I would not even play an options position personally. If you just have to, because say the market drops like 1% tomorrow and you're just like, man, we had a really good pullback, I gotta play something, I would probably just do like a short put spread. You guys know that I love those credit spreads, where you're just pretty much saying as long as the stock doesn't go below this price or above this price, I should make some money. Assuming that it moves in my direction even quicker, then I'll make my money faster, of course. But the only way I would really play this is if it just shoots ridiculously to the upside or downside tomorrow, just because I think the first few trading days this week are going to be kind of critical to see if we can either build a support or we're going to build a resistance around, in this case on SPY, around 320 to 321. So I would kind of hang tight tomorrow. It just depends on what happens. We can't really predict how much the market's going to move up or down. Who knows? It could jump up another 2.5–3% tomorrow. We never know at the end of the day. But in my opinion, I think we're going to cool off just a little bit. I don't think we're going to like come back down to 315. Well, we might come back to 315, but I don't think we're going to come down to like 310 or anything. So unless if it comes down to at least 315 tomorrow, which would be a solid drop, that would be the only way I'd probably play this. And again, at that point, me personally, not telling you guys what to do, me personally, if it does drop to 315, I may consider something like a short term, like 3 to 4 week short put spread. My strike price would probably be, assuming say it closes right at 315, which it will not do, I can pretty much guarantee, but assuming that it does for this hypothetical, I'd probably put my strike price at 307, maybe 308, and then I'd probably take the 305, right around a $3, maybe even $3 to $4 spread overall, depending on how much credit and how much capital has to be put up for that trade. So that'll be kind of what I'm looking out for. But we have about 10 minutes now until the futures market opens, and I do plan on actively trading the futures tonight. So if you're in our Discord group chat, we may do a live voice. We have the live voice chat in there, of course. I might hop in there and do that, but either way, I'll be in there in and out throughout the night, updating you guys like on my positions and whatnot, what money I make, what money I lose. Hopefully we don't lose, of course, right? Me personally, I'm just looking for 5 points from the market this evening, and I think it's going to be a pretty volatile evening. Nothing crazy or anything, but I think we're going to see a little bit of movement this evening for sure. So just looking for 5 points. If I can get 5 points, I'll be happy with that overall. So we will see what happens. But like I said, if you're new to the channel, we'd love to have you here for the future streams and future videos. Definitely consider hitting that subscribe button below. Hit the bell icon right beside it. And like I said, if you guys have enjoyed the stream, I would love it. It helps the channel out a lot, I found out, if you guys hit a thumbs up on those streams and on the videos. So definitely hit that thumbs up button. I'm not the type to really like beg for that kind of stuff, but apparently YouTube makes it more important now than ever if you guys thumbs up the video. So I appreciate that a lot, and I definitely appreciate you guys tuning into the channel. It's just awesome to see this channel and our group just continue to grow. We now have like well over 1,000 of you, like 1,015, 20, something like that of you guys here. So just awesome to see us just continue to grow here and just continue to grow as traders, grow as entrepreneurs, which is what we're all here for at the end of the day. We're all here for freedom. So, but that is pretty much it. Hopefully the stream quality has been good for you guys. But until next time, guys, keep on going out there, make your profits, cover your profits, and achieving your financial freedom this year. And like I said, hopefully we'll see you in the Discord group chat this evening. And if not, then we'll see you in the next stream or video.